How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Tzadi Beis, Daf 92 of Masechta BavaBasra. Friends, yo friends. Today we start the 6th parak of Masechta BavaBasra, Amocher Peiris. Today's daf is very geschmack, so is tomorrow's. Very interesting stuff in my opinion. Here's the thing. There's a catch, there's a thing. I'm on my way to Pshischa. Maybe you remember I went 1 year ago, I went for the Yortzeit of Simcha Bunim Pshischa. I'm going again. It's supposed to go again this year. So mamash, right after this, I gotta start making moves to go to the airport. So I'm a little bit, I gotta keep things moving a little bit. But yeah, it's gonna be gewaldig. The plan is, the reason why I'm trying to, the plan is hopefully tomorrow I'll record in Pshischa, hopefully. But if I can record this now, that means I only have to record one daf from Pshischa. So here we go. Hopefully we'll be able to keep things moving over here. But it's going to be gewaldig. It's going to be great. Okay. This is gewaldig daf. Gewaldig daf. We'll see how far we can get. Hopefully, yeah. Okay. Hamoicher peiris lachaveru vizaron velo samchu. Okay, interesting scenario. So Shimon sells fruits to Reuven. What does Reuven do with the fruits? He doesn't eat them. He sticks them in the ground and adds some water and some tefillas and some love and some tears. But they don't grow. Even after all that. Shimon sells fruits to Reuven. Vizar and Reuven plants the fruits. But they didn't grow into epis. They didn't. Nothing grew. And even if we're talking about flax seeds, where this taka is going to be an interesting machlokes in the Gemara, but let's just say most flax seeds are for planting. So therefore it should be a valid taina. Reuven comes to Shimon and he says, look, I bought flax seeds, I planted them, nothing grew. I want restitution, so I want my money back. Shimon is not responsible for restitution because he could say, I sold them to you to eat. I sold you the fruits to eat, I even sold you the flax seeds to eat. You can eat flour, right? We eat sunflower seeds as we know in Babylon Talmud. Not we. The sunflower people do. And I guess flax seeds are similar. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, that garden seeds, seeds that you don't eat, you only garden with them. Well then, which are not eaten, well then, if Shimon sells Reuven garden seeds, he plants the garden seeds in Gunish, nothing grows bichlal. So, in that case, Reuven has a valid taina, and he can claim restitution. Says the Gemara from BavaBasra. BavaBasra, gewaldig. We're in BavaBasra. BavaBasra was already a while ago. Each Bava has its own thing to it. BavaBasra, the cows and things. BavaMitzia, love. BavaBasra, gewaldig. Says the Gemara, Itmar, it was stated, Hamochashor lachavero, somebody who sells, so Shimon sells an ox to Reuven. V'nimtza nagchon, it turns out that this ox that Reuven bought had a kink in its soul. It gored. It was a gory shore. It would gore. Which is a problem. Reuven can't have an ox for farming his field, for plowing his field, that's going to be goring people, oxen, whatever. Reuven comes back to Shimon. I hope I said Reuven. Reuven comes back to Shimon. He says, wait, Shimon, I got a problem here. You sold me an ox, but this ox is an agchin. Let's be mavat. I give you back your gory shori. You give me back my money. So Rav Omer is a mekachto. So Rav says, Taka, yeah, Reuven goes back to Shimon. He says, look, this was not the plan. I bought a cow, I bought an ox for work in my field. Turns out it's an agchin. This is no good. I want my money back. Shmuel says that Shimon can reply to Reuven and say, well, Reuven, I sold you this ox for meat. For meat, it makes no difference if it's an agchin or not. kill it, eat it. Who cares if what it did in it beforehand? Take your knife, slit its throat, eat it. No restitution. So in fact, the Gemara, I don't really understand the machloikes between Rav and Shmuel. Rav says a mekachtos. Shmuel says, Shimon could say, I sold you for shchita. Why don't we just do a shtickle analysis and draw our own conclusions about the sale? Let's see. Well, one second. Why don't we see? Who's the one buying the ox? Reuven. What does Reuven do for a living? Is he a farmer? Is he a butcher? If he's a butcher, Mistami sold it for meat. If he's a farmer, Mistami sold it for plowing. So how do you like this? A cow for meat is called a chow cow. And a cow for farming is called a plow cow. A chow cow and a plow cow. So if Reuven is a butcher, so Mistama, he bought a chow cow. In which case, there's no mekachtos. If he's a butcher, Mistama, he bought a chow cow. And of course, Shimon says to Reuven, look, I sold you a chow cow, you're a butcher. And there's no claim. And if Reuven is a farmer, so Mistama, he bought a plow cow. And therefore, he has a valid claim against Shimon. Hey, I'm a farmer. You know I'm a farmer. You know obviously I was buying a plow cow. You sold me a nagchon. I can't plow with this cow. And therefore you should be entitled to restitution. So I don't understand why there's a machloikes bichlal. Why don't we just look at the mitzias and draw conclusions? If we can conclude on our own that the sale was for a chow cow, so then it's a mekachtos. If we conclude on our own that the sale was for a plow cow, no, fakert. If we conclude on our own that it was for a chow cow, so there's no mekachtos. Just slaughter it and eat it. If it was a plow cow, so it's a mekachtos. Because how can you plow with a cow that makes people go out? Okay. Where am I? So, okay, so where am I? So, and for the Gemara, he's a butcher farmer. He's a butcher farmer. That could be like a name from the Lower East Side. You know who I'm thinking of. So he's a butcher farmer. He's a butcher and he's a farmer, so we don't know. Can't read his mind. He could be buying the cow for chow. He could be buying the cow for plow. So, okay, but still, that's not the end of the story. A chow cow is half the price of a plow cow. A chow cow costs 10 dinars. A plow cow costs 20 dinars. So why don't we see how much? Let's look at the receipt. Let's see how much did Reuven pay for the cow. If he paid 10 dinars, clearly he bought a chow cow. In which case, there's no mekachtos. That's what he bought. If he paid 20 dinars, he bought a plow cow. In which case, he's got a valid claim to say, hey, I bought a plow cow and you sold me a nagachon. So it's the Iker Bisor v'kombid Meridia. Well, it's talking about where the price of a chow cow doubled so that taka chow cows and plow cows cost the same 20 dinars. So looking at the receipt isn't gonna tell you anything. So okay. So again, getting back to the shaila of okay. So what do we do? Is it mekachtos? Is it not? If that's the case, that it's the same price. So the Gemara says, well, l'may nafkamin. If it's the same price, well then actually who cares? Who cares? Who cares? So what's Reuven's going to say, I bought a plow cow and you sold me a chow cow. Well, it's the same price anyways. So Reuven, how about this? Instead of making claims for restitution against Shimon, why don't you slaughter the cow, sell the meat, reclaim, right? The price of meat increased, so you'll be able to get back your money. And then buy a plow cow. At the end of the day, who cares? Nafkamina, the tircha, what do you mean who cares? That's a humongous headache for Reuven. Reuven buys a plow cow. Shimon ends up selling him a chow cow. And now he's got to slaughter the cow. Find buyers, sell it, make back his money. And then he's back he's back at the beginning again, and now he's got to start all over buying a plow cow. A huge headache. Hey Chidami. Okay, so Rav says, well, he can claim mekachtos, and Reuven can claim restitution. So what's the mitzvah? So what's Shimon's financial situation? Well, if Shimon doesn't have any money to pay Reuven back, so Reuven's going to come to Shimon and say, look, it's a mekachtos. I want restitution. Shimon says, I don't have any money. Well, if that's the case, la'akiv Torah bezuzeh. Well, then in that case, Reuven should just anyways hold on to the cow as his hold on to the cow as the restitution. Because the people say, look, when somebody owes you money, take what you can get. If he doesn't have any money, but he has bran, take the bran. Take whatever you can get to get paid or repaid. So that Shimon does have money to pay him back. So therefore the shaila is Reuven entitled to restitution or not? So and now, okay, here's the important part, Cheva. These next two lines are really important. They're be'etzim going to take us not just to the end of today's daf, but also on tomorrow's daf as well. Here it is. Rav Omar, hareze mekachtos basar ruba azlinon v'ruba l'ridja zavne u'shmuel Omar loch ki azlino basar ruba be'isur b'mamona lo. Chevra, this is the machloikes between Rav and Shmuel, and this is what we are going to be discussing for the next chunk of Gemara. Let's read it again. Rav says, look, hareze mekachtos, Reuven can claim restitution. He could say this was a mistaken deal. I want restitution. Where am I? Because basar ruba azlinon. Because we go based on the rov. We go based on the majority. V'ruba l'ridja zavne. And most people who buy oxen are buying oxen for plowing, are buying plow cows. And therefore, Reuven can rightfully claim, I bought a plow cow and you sold me a chow cow. Because we go by the rov. Most people are buying plow cows. Therefore it's a mekachtos. Shmuel says, Amar Lach says to you, Ki azlinon basaruba, when we go based on rov, be'isur. That's by isur v'eter. For example, the famous case of the Tesha Chanuyos, the 9 butcher shops in town that sell kosher meat, and the one butcher shop that sells treif meat, and you find a piece of meat lying on the floor and you want to eat it. So we say, Kol de parish meruba parish. You can assume that go based on the rov, that it came from the kosher shop. And so there, okay, by isur v'eter we go based on rov. But not by mamonis. So when Reuven makes a claim against Shimon saying, I want my money back, I want restitution, Shmuel says we will not say, well, the concept of the law of rov dictates that most oxen are sold for plowing, therefore Reuven is entitled to restitution, Shimon needs to pay him. We don't say that by mamonis. And therefore the fact that most cows are sold for plowing is irrelevant. And we don't go based on that rov. Rather, it's 50-50. The cow may have been sold for plowing, it may have been sold for chowing. And therefore, if it's 50-50, if Reuven wants restitution, he's got to bring proof that it was sold for plowing and not for chowing. And if he wants to prove that he bought a chow cow, not a plow cow, fakert, that he bought a plow cow, not a chow cow, well then he's got to bring that proof. Meisve. We have a kasha. We have a kasha on Rav. A Mishnah from Ksubis. Oh, Masechta Ksubis. Gewaldig. If a woman, if a wife gets widowed or divorced, let's assume for now divorced because it just makes it easier in the continuation, though obviously the halach would be the same for both. And she's claiming her ksuba. She's divorced. She's widowed. She wants to. She's collecting her ksuba. She has a document that says she's entitled to collect ksuba. The shaila is mana masayim, right? Lebsula masayim v'lamana mana. That the ksuba of bsula is 200 zuz. The ksuba of amana is 100 zuz. Now the ksuba is lost, or maybe it was a place where they don't write ksubas. There's no ksuba, and now therefore everyone's making their arguments. And she says, look, when I got married, I was a besula. I'm entitled to 200 zuzes. He says, nit. No. You were almana. 100 zuz. So now what do we do? 200 zuz or 100 zuz? Im yesh edim sheyotza binuma virosha parua. If there are witnesses who can testify that on the day of her wedding, she left her father's house with a veil and her head was uncovered, well, that is what besulas do. So if there are edim sheyotza binuma virosha parua, well, then that means that she got married as a besula and she's entitled to 200 zuz. If not, right? So taima dika edim. So the reason that in that case she's entitled to 200 zuzes is because there were witnesses who are be'etzim testifying that she was a besula at her wedding. Haleka edim, but if there were no witnesses, well then, lo, she would not be entitled to 200 zuz. But effective Gemara, 1 second. What about Rov? Can we assume, based on Rov, that she was a besula? Why don't we go based on the Rov? Based on the majority. In most marriages, the kala is a besula. So why don't we go, so if Rav says that by Mominus we go based on Rov, let's go based on Rov. Based on Rov, we should say that she was a besula. And she should be entitled to 200 zuz. Why don't we say that? It's Kasha and Rav. Ravina says, well, that's not really a good question because Mishum, because we could say, look, Rov Noshim Besulos Nisos. Yes, most women get married as besulas. Umiut Almanos, and a minority as almanas. Now, v'chol anises besula. Now, everyone who gets married as a besula, yesh la kol. When a besula gets married, as opposed to an almana, so there's a different energy around it, and people know, there's a chasana happening, and everybody knows about the chasana, and therefore people would know about it. And almana, not necessarily, but by a besula, people know about the chasana. And people would know that she got married and therefore they would know that she there would be more of a to-do. And therefore, v'zoi, and in this case, clearly there was no call, nobody's stepping forward to say, oh yeah, we know about the wedding, she was a besula. Isra la ruba. So therefore the rov is sort of weakened, right? So Rav can argue that, normally we would go based on the Rov. We can't go based on Rov here because what's the Rov? The Rov is that she's a Besula. But the thing is, there's another factor by Besulas, which is that everybody knows about it. Yet over here, nobody seems to know about it. So therefore, the fact that nobody knows about it is kind of a sort of red flag that kind of weakens the Rov. But ikol on nisos besulos yeshlen kol. But if that's really true, that whenever a besula gets married, there is a kol, people know about it, well then we shouldn't trust the witnesses either. Normally we would trust the witnesses here, but in this case, it doesn't make sense. Kika edem mayave. Why would we even trust the witnesses? If we're saying that whenever a besula gets married, the whole town knows about it, And then why doesn't the whole town know about it? We have these witnesses who are saying, oh yeah, she was a basula. Yet there is nobody who can corroborate that. And you would think that when a basula gets married, everybody knows about it, then other people would know about it. The fact that nobody seems to know about it, and these two witnesses are saying that she was Yotz's B'tzinum of Rosh Parua, Behinum of Rosh Parua, it's like, I don't understand. Why do they know and nobody else knows? It doesn't make any sense. No, Ela Rov Anisos Bisulos Yesh Len Kol. Rather, most of the women who get married as a basula, most cases there would be a kol, but not every case. And witnesses are now saying that she was a basula. She yotza b'inum Rosh Parua. Now nobody else knows about it. Okay, sometimes nobody else knows about it, but we have witnesses. We trust witnesses. In the previous case, where we're assuming that everybody knows about it, well then, how can we trust the witnesses when everybody should have known about it and yet nobody knows about it? But here, it's not necessarily, no, it could be that this was one of the cases where nobody knows about it. But the witnesses are testifying about it, and therefore we'll trust the witnesses. Now, in terms of the rove, since in this case, meaning we want to say that rove are basula, so therefore she should get 200 zuz. The thing is that most of the time, when a basula gets married, there's a kol. But over here, there's no kol. So therefore, it's kind of suspicious, like, like in the majority of the cases where she's a basula, people would know about it, yet here they don't know about it. So therefore, we would need the witnesses in order for us to assume that she's a basula, but otherwise it's kind of suspicious and we're not going to go based on the rove. But generally speaking, we would say that you would be able to go based on the rove according to Rav. Okay, Chevra, I'll be honest, I didn't have the opportunity to review until the end of the daf, so I hope that it's going to go well. But I only have a few more minutes, and I would love to get to the end of it. Well, really, it's halfway through the next Amud. But if we can get there, that would be great. Hopefully, I'll be able to manage it. Tashma, come here. If Shimon sells an Eved to Ruvain, v'nim tzaganif o kubustus. Turns out, Ruvain comes back to Shimon and says, Shimon, the Eved you sold me, he's a ganif. Or he's a kidnapper. So, I don't want this Eved. Higio, it's Reuven's own. No, Reuven had it coming. There's no returns. However, if Shimon's Eved that he sold to Reuven was an armed robber, or there was a death warrant. There was a warrant out for his death from the government. Well, in that case, Shimon basically sent Reuven a dead man, sold Reuven a dead man. So in that case, Reuven says, "Hey, take back your dead man and give me back my money." But in terms of a ganef or kobustus, it's Reuven has to take responsibility for that. Reisha my time. How come in the Reisha by Ganif and Kubustus, Reuven has to swallow, has to deal with it? Lab mishum deruba ach yisnu is not because we go based on the rov like Rav, that we go based on the rov, and most avodim are Ganuvim or Kubustuses, and Reuven knew this. We go based on the rov, and going into it, the assumption was that that's what he was buying. So no. Kulu, no. All of them are Ganovim Kubus system. So it's not because we go based on the rov, we go based on the 100%. Okay, fine. Tashma, come in here. Shorshe noga chesapor v'nimtzo ubra betzido. Bavakama. A ox gores a cow and kills the cow, and they find a dead fetus next to the cow. So the shaila is, so we're saying, because the shore was a shore tam, so it's chatzi nezek for the cow, for the dead cow. In terms of the fetus, so it depends. If the ox killed the fetus, well then chatzi nezek for the fetus too. If the cow miscarried before the goring, well then the fetus has nothing, the dead fetus has nothing to do with the ox goring. Right? Let's say it's Shimon's ox gores Reuven's cow. So if Reuven's cow miscarried before the goring, well then Shimon's ox had nothing to do with it, and he's potter for the fetus. So again, so Tashma Kamini Shoshanoga Chasapar, Shimon's ox gores Reuven's cow. V'nimtzu ube b'tzida, and next to the dead cow is a dead fetus. V'enu yadua, it's not known. Im ad shelo nagcha yolda, did Reuven's cow miscarry before it was gored? In which case Shimon is not responsible for the fetus. O im mishay nagcha yolda, or when Reuven's cow was gored, that's when the fetus was killed as well, in which case Shimon would be responsible. So Mishalim Chatzin Nezek Lepara. Okay, so Shimon's ox gored to death Reuven's cow. So Shimon is going to be responsible Chatzin Nezek for Reuven's cow. Okay, because Shimon's ox is a shortam. Viravia lavolod, and in terms of the fetus, we split it. Meaning, so full price would be Chatzin Nezek in this case. So they don't know, did the cow miscarry, in which case Shimon is potter, or was it on account of the goring, in which case Shimon is chayiv, Chatzin Nezek? We don't know. So we split it, and Shimon pays Reuven quarter Nezek. V'amai, but 1 second, why are we not sure? Lema halichacha rov paris. If Rav is correct that we can go based on Rov, why don't we go based on Rov? V'rov paris misabris v'yoldis. And most cows don't miscarry. Most cows birth healthy cows. And therefore, based on the Rov, we would say that the cow did not miscarry, and therefore the fetus was killed on account of the goring. And therefore, Shimon should be chayiv Chatzin Nezek for the fetus as well. Shouldn't we go based on Rov? And therefore, certainly what happened was, when Reuven's cow got gored, it miscarried on account of the goring, and therefore Shimon should be responsible Chatzin Nezek for the fetus as well. So, and for the Gemara, well, that Rov actually, look, yeah, in general, in kind of normal circumstances, most cows don't miscarry. Most cows give birth to healthy cows. This isn't a normal circumstance, though. In this circumstance, depending on if Shimon's ox gored Reuven's cow from head on or from the back, that will make a huge difference. Because if Shimon's ox gored Reuven's cow head on, and Reuven's cow, who is pregnant, sees a bull charging at it, Reuven's ox is going to freak out, and freaking out can cause a miscarriage. So even though in normal circumstances, it's unlikely that this cow miscarried, but in being gored head-on circumstances, all of a sudden the chances of a miscarriage increase dramatically. And therefore, because we don't know if Shimon's ox gored Reuven's cow from head-on or from behind, so we don't. So if it's from head on, well then there's no longer a rov with regard to miscarriages, and we don't know if the miscarriage could have been the cow could have, if it was head on, the cow could have simply miscarried because it freaked out, but Shimon would not be responsible for a freak out miscarriage. That's a groma. Shimon would not be responsible for that. But if it was from the back, well then the cow didn't know it was coming, and the chances of a miscarriage or the rov would dictate that there was no miscarriage. So, but because we don't know if it was head on or from the back, so if it's a suffix, and therefore we split it. Because we don't know. We could have said mikama also that Shimon's ox gored Reuven's cow head on, and Reuven's cow freaked out and miscarried, in which case Shimon would be potter because it was a miscarriage. Or you could say me'achora also that Shimon's ox came from behind, umingach nogcha v'ipila, and gored Reuven's cow from behind and directly caused the miscarriage, in which case Shimon would be chayiv. So and therefore it's besafik, and therefore we split it like sumchis. Okay, we got to the end of this daf. Givaldik. We started the parak hamocher es ha Paris. We talked about when Shimon sells fruits to Reuven and he plants them and nothing happens of them. And and then we got into the Gemara, and we actually haven't talked about these Paris and the seeds and stuff yet, but we will get there. We started with a discussion of Rov, a machlokas between Rav and Shmuel about do we go based on Rov when it comes to Mominus or not. Shmuel says that the concept of Rov is strictly by Isur V'Heter, whereas Rav says that we can apply Rov even to Mominus, and we are kind of in the middle of that discussion now. Peace out.